Hello, I'm Bernie Hayes. Today's guest is Dr. Jim Logan, and we'll be talking about a variety of things, especially his new racing car, today on The Bernie Hayes Show. And welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes, and Dr. Jim Logan is my guest. Dr. Jim, how you doing?
Doing great, Bernie. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. You're looking great, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a lot of history.
Dr. Jim Logan, chiropractor. Tell us about your chiropractic offices.
I'm at 254 North Oaks Professional Building. Been there for quite a while. I started practicing in 1975, and I've slowed down a little bit now in my older years, but we've had a good run. The chiropractic's been good. It's a natural type healing system. I take care of people who are pretty much have been involved in traumatic injuries and arthritic conditions, things of that nature. But, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of folks know you as Dr. Jim as a chiropractor, you know. But Jim, you've done so many other things. You know, I've known you since 50 years almost now. And you in the music business, I know you're a motorcycle enthusiast, you're a speed enthusiast, and now Jim Logan, Dr. Jim Logan, is now in the racing car business. What's happening, Jim?
Well, Bernie, and you're right. We've had so many things that we've dealt with. Racing is one of my passions. As a young kid, I liked cars, like motorcycles, and so forth and so on. But as a youngster, growing up in the inner city, the opportunities weren't quite there. And as I got a little bit older and went through my education, got to become a doctor in the chiropractic field, but that was subsequent to working in other fields, working in industry, built airplanes for McDonnell Aircraft Corporation, I built cars at General Motors, built trains for the General Steel industry. So when I got to become a chiropractor and made with some success, I was able to pursue some of my interests. And actually, I got started with racing with my kids. We did that back in the 79, actually. We raced quarter midget cars, and we went from quarter midgets to when the kids got too old for that. I then went into the Silver Crown division, which is a United States Auto Club series, the top series in that division. And did that for quite a while. And in 2000, I was able to form an Indy Car team, and that's when we made history as being the first solely owned African-American IndyCar team in history.
Tell us about that, Jim. You said the only one and the first one. Now that's very rare. Why did you buck these barriers, and how did you able to slip through there?
Well, it was my story that was put out by the IndyCar series was called the IRL at that time. It was quietly and without fanfare. When the Indy Racing League started, I was very interested, but there again, I had no thoughts of being able to afford the cost of running in that series, even though I ran in the Silver Crown series, which was a pretty good series to run in. But I knew the people who started the series, Tony George, who owned the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the time. It's since been sold to Roger Penske. And I met legendary A.J. Foyt, who was a race car driver and first driver to ever win the Indy 500 4 times. When I met these people, we formed friendships, and actually I talked to them from the chiropractic point of view. I treated a lot of race car drivers and some of the stewards who worked for the series. I treated a lot of those people and gave them ideas about how chiropractic could improve their performances. And friendships, one thing led to another, and one of my real good friends who had a racing team had a car, and I bought the car from them, and we started actually at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 2000. We started the team there. Circumstances prevented us from actually taking the track, so we made the history by going to Dallas to run at the Texas Motor Speedway in June of 2000. That's how we actually got our history as being the first solely owned African-American team in the history of Indy cars. And Indy Car racing goes back to 1911, so that's a pretty long history.
Okay, so there's a difference between the Indy Car Circuit and the NASCAR Circuit. Tell us about those differences.
Yes, well, NASCAR actually started with stock cars. You know, you can take a car from the showroom and run it at the track. They actually began on the beaches in Florida, Daytona. Yeah. And they're what we call full body cars. They look like the car that you could buy and drive on the street, though they're now full race cars. But in the early days, that's how those cars got started. Okay. The Indy cars that I like are what we call open wheel cars, which means they have no fenders. And they're usually single seat cars where the driver sits in the middle, okay? And those cars are more exotic, they're lighter, and generally they're faster on the track. And you know, as I said, the driver sits in the middle and he's out mostly in the open. Whereas a stock car, you're sitting inside, the same way you would be in your family sedan.
I see you have a history of the building of the cars. And tell us, you got an award back in 2002, I guess, is the inception of your thing, the Indy Racing Northern Light Series. What is this, Jim?
Actually, that was the awards ceremony at the end of the season, Bernie. What happens is when the race season is over, it's like the awards for music awards at the end of the season. The people who have been outstanding get their recognition. So I didn't actually get an award there. I was at the awards ceremony. All the teams were invited, and we participated in that as the series champion, and other people who had been involved in remarkable things got their awards, and that was the celebration.
Here we have another photo I want to see. What is this?
Okay, now that is a cover for actually I had a group of students at St. Louis University, Missouri Baptist, and Jefferson Colleges did a study. This study was minorities in auto racing, emphasis on African Americans, and that was one of the groups had put together a proposal or a actual guideline for how to get involved with auto racing. So that started what's called the Road to Indy. And as a matter of fact, the Indianapolis series now has a Road to Indy program.
Mm-hmm. So as being a Road to Indy, and you've been an African American, you didn't concentrate just on African American people. I mean, the Road to Indy itself had to be a diverse function, right?
Well,
diverse.
Yes, Bernie. As a matter of fact, my team was called the Team of Opportunity, and we had probably the most diverse crew of any racing team in history. We had 4 African Americans, not counting myself, and we actually have females working with our team. And the picture you're showing right now, the guy on the left with the uniform on, next to the guy in the blue jeans, Sam Arney, he was the first African American to graduate from the training, IndyCar training that they had in Indianapolis. Wow! And I believe he's now traveling in Europe, working with some of the big teams. I can't prove that now, but I did get someone gave me a hint that Sam was over in Europe working back and forth with some of those major teams.
I didn't know that. Indy driving was so lucrative. Jim, it costs, what I read and so forth about not only NASCAR but Indy circuit, it costs quite a bit of money to get into the circuit. Is it lucrative?
It is, Bernie. It's kind of a hidden secret out in the open. Many people who are especially running major corporations and big companies don't realize how much value there is in advertising as a sponsor on a racing car, especially in the IndyCar series. And the African American community as a whole is pretty much lacking in knowledge and exposure to these series. We get an opportunity to go in as race fans. We can buy a ticket or get a complimentary ticket and go to a race and watch the activities on track. But it's a completely different industry when you look at how things are set up and the operation of a team and what we were actually involved with putting a car together on the track and working with a sponsor. So the sponsors can get tremendous exposure and huge monetary value from being a sponsor on a Indy Car racing team.
I think we'll have a picture of them putting the car, one of your cars together. We want to show that, see how from beginning to end, they actually constructed this particular vehicle. Is that correct?
That car that we're dealing with right there is a Silver Crown car. That's United States Auto Club. That's prior to my IndyCar career, if you want to call it a career. We only had one season that we were able to do that. But that car is the top level of the United States Auto Club. It's called the Silver Crown car. And we're actually constructing that car. We're nearly finished with it. As you can see, we got the body work on, and that's the last things we're doing now is putting the body work on that car. And that car actually, I built that so that I could have a second car to give young guys who didn't have opportunities themselves to get involved with what we call the big cars in the United States Auto Club.
Okay. Jim, I know you've been an African-American man, you're going for certain obstacles. Now, are you included in the racetrack in Granite City? And have you received any monies from Mr. Stewart and other people of that sort?
Okay, well, we have two tracks in Illinois. Granite City, that's a dirt track that's owned by the Gundacker family, Kevin Gundacker, who's also a guy that I know for a long time, a good guy and a good friend. But the track in Madison, the Worldwide Technology,
right.
Formerly was called Gateway Motorsports Park.
Right.
Actually, I don't have a lot of involvement with those people. I've talked to them and I reached out to them. I'll do anything I can to give them assistance. But to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of contact with Mr. Stewart, David Stewart, who owns that track. I met him at Indianapolis one time, and actually I was a guest in his suite a year ago for a short while after the race at Gateway. But we have not had an opportunity to really sit down and talk about racing, because I'm sure that running a company the size of Worldwide Technology keeps him pretty busy. But I would love an opportunity to work with that track. It is my home track. I do participate in something we call a vintage Indy, which is another ball game. The car that I have now, the Indy car that we ran in 2000, is being outfitted with another engine, and it's going to be running in the vintage Indy series as a demonstration. We have demonstration races at many of the tracks where people can see cars from 1911 all the way up to the early 2000s. These are called vintage cars, and you get a chance to see the history of racing. And the owner of Vintage Indy Registry, Mike Lashman, is a guy I met back in 2017 when he started this series. And he gave me a lot of history of my own racing career, that some of which I had forgotten. We got to be friends, and he asked me if I would join his registry as a charter member or a founding member, and I said sure. And now I'm putting that car together in order to participate in the Vintage Indy events. But we are looking to go forward into the IndyCar series in the future with a team, and that's one of the things that we're hoping to do now is find sponsorship, and Worldwide Technology and those guys would be a great asset if there's some way we could actually sit down and talk, put our heads together.
So you depend on more or less for corporate funding for sustainability, is that correct?
Absolutely. Racing on that level is not something that you do as a mom and pop or out of your own back pocket. You need to have a corporate entity or an angel. If you got some philanthropic organizations that have lots of money, Gates Foundation, people like that who would see a value in bringing the African American community up to speed. Talking about racing, bringing the African American community into the racing world with some knowledge of what's there. There's so many job opportunities, Bernie. It's not just the car and the owner and the team and the track. There's so many other opportunities there. The track has to have people to, first of all, build the track. You have to have people to maintain the track. And there alone are jobs where people could actually work. There are thousands and thousands of job opportunities in the racing industry besides just being a car owner or a driver or a mechanic.
Dr. Jim Logan is my guest, and Jim is the first African American. What on the Indy circuit? Could that be correct, or?
That is correct. I have the distinction of being the first and only solely owned African-American IndyCar team in history.
Wow. We'll be right back after this message from the New Life Evangelistic Center.
This is an opportunity that God has given all of us at this time to work together to reopen 1411 Locust, which is so urgently needed at this community. I thank God for Bernie Hayes and for his support and standing with us all these particular years. Now it's so critical that you and I do our part also, as Bernie's been partnering with us here at NLEC TV. We've continued to maintain faith, continue to move forward, and now the doors have been opened. The City of St. Louis has approved our architectural plans. We've been given the go-ahead to make the necessary renovations that are needed. We need some miracles, and that's why I'm asking all of you prayer warriors out there, all of you that are going to use that mustard seed of faith to remove the mountains. There's some mountains. Rich and powerful people who move back in the neighborhood, and they don't want 1411 Locust to open. They'd rather leave the people out on the street to slowly die, starved, used, misused, worked over by drug dealers, alcohol, and everything else. We want this place to be a place of hope for those that have lost all hope. And we want to open the doors, and we can do it. As you prayer warriors, go to God in earnest prayer, knocking on the doors of heaven. When He says, ask, it shall be given you, seek, and you shall find, knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Please continue to pray. Pray that God will just let the financial resources come in so we can make all of these repairs. He'll raise up the dedicated laborers for the harvest, that we will continue to see Him do exceedingly abundantly beyond what we can even ask or think. Yes, this is a spiritual battle. The principality and powers are fighting from every direction, but greater is He's in us than he that's in the world. And that's why I'm asking all of you to join us in prayer. Believe God with us. Contact us at New Life Evangelistic Center if you believe that there's people God laid on your heart that we should see. Ask for myself, Larry Rice, or my grandson, Chris Aaron Rice, that we can go visit and share the dream with you, and call us at 314-421-3020. Please pray. Get involved now. We need the body of Christ to arise as we work together to reopen this building for the glory of God.
And welcome back. My guest is Dr. Jim Logan, chiropractor, but now we're talking about his racing adventures today. Dr. Logan, how can we reach you? How can we get more information about not only the chiropractic business, but especially support you in this racing effort?
Well, for my chiropractic practice, I'm at 254 North Oaks Professional Building. And,
that's on the corner, it's in Normandy, right?
Yeah, Natural Bridge and Lucas and Hunt. Yeah, I've been there for, 40 years, I guess.
And I've been there many times.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And the phone number there is 314-382-2202. That's my office number. And my mobile phone, cell phone number, 314-276-7822. That's the number I use for my racing as well as personal calls. So you can reach me at 314-382-2202. If you have a chiropractic or a health issue that you'd like to talk about, an automobile accident or a fall at work or something like that. And for the racing, 314-276-7822.
Do you have a Gmail or email?
Email address would be doclogan7@gmail.com. And the website is www.loganracing.com. Now, you can look at the website and get a pretty good history of what we've done throughout the racing with the Indy cars especially.
Okay. I think we have a picture of your racing team we're going to be showing now. So tell us about this record.
Okay, actually that is a Silver Crown car that we ran. That was in Del Mar, California, and the young man on the right was the driver. That car actually was my second Silver Crown car, and my team became known as a team of opportunity, because I actually built that car, and four others actually after that, three others after that. I had five all together, and that was to give young people who didn't have the funding an opportunity to get in what we call the big cars in Silver Crown. And at that time, Silver Crown cars were the next step to get involved with Indianapolis cars, Indy cars. As a matter of fact, the Silver Crown cars were the old roadsters that ran in the IndyCar series up until the early 60s. So that's why I built that car, and as I said, we gave the young man who was in that picture on the right an opportunity to get involved with the big cars for the first time.
Okay, we have another picture that I'd like to show and ask you another question about that. And tell us about this.
Oh, that's a historic. That is actually that same car as we had just finished it, and we rolled it out of the garage. The guys on the far left, George Egan, he was a race car driver and a car owner. He owned a company called Quickway Machine in Berkeley, and he actually used to be a stunt driver as well. He drove through the wall of fire. And the other two guys were crew members and very good friends. The guy, the third guy from the right, or from the is Bob Hempel, who's passed away too. Bob was a great mechanic and a good friend, and of course I was, the last guy on the picture. But
Dr. Jim.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Jim, was there any hesitation recruiting these people, knowing that you were the only African American on the circuit?
Bernie, it's amazing. The people that I know and have been fortunate enough to interact with in the racing business have been what the old saying, colorblind. That is what we are. We are a diverse group of people. We have the common bond of the love of auto racing and speed that's involved. And there are going to be some people who are resistant to integration and having diversity in the racing business. But for the most part, the camaraderie, the cooperation is really excellent. My team, as I said, was one of the most diverse teams ever in the Indy Car series. We had African American, we had female members as well that were part of our racing team.
Dr. Jim Logan is my guest, and we're at the New Life Evangelistic Center, 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. And Reverend Larry Rice has been in the St. Louis community more than 50 years, providing services for those in need. And we sincerely hope that you'll continue to support us here. We'll go right back with Dr. Jim after this.
There are so many women and children experiencing homelessness in the United States and throughout the world. You can be a part of the difference today by partnering alongside New Life Evangelistic Center and the work that they're doing to save women and children's lives who are experiencing homelessness. In St. Louis, we have safe houses where women are able to find the rest that they need and the job, training, and transitioning from going from homelessness to housed. You can make a difference by partnering with us financially today. Another way you can help is the women and children in India who are experiencing brokenness and hurt and pain. Donate to New Life today to make a huge difference in their lives. There are so many people who are hurting, but you can make a difference in the life of the individual today by partnering alongside New Life Evangelistic Center.
The Flyer, Bessie Coleman. Born in Atlanta, Texas in 1892, Bessie Coleman grew up in a world of harsh poverty, discrimination, and segregation. She moved to Chicago at 23 to seek her fortune, but found little opportunity there as well. Wild tales of flying exploits from returning World War I soldiers first inspired her to explore aviation, but she faced a double stigma in that dream because she was African American and a woman. Coleman performed at numerous air shows over the next 5 years, performing heart-thrilling stunts, encouraging the other African Americans to pursue flying and refusing to perform where blacks were not admitted. When she tragically died in a plane crash in 1926, famous writer and equal rights advocate Ida B. Wells presided over her funeral. Bessie Coleman, female pilot.
Now you can take NLEC TV anywhere as you put the NLEC TV app on your iPhone or mobile device. NLEC TV is the innovative TV station that's on the cutting edge of community service. On NLEC TV, you'll discover wholesome family, community, renewable energy, and inspirational programming. Those needing energy assistance, food, clothing, or freedom from the cycle of homelessness will find that plus much more on NLEC TV. Now, you can receive NLEC TV by going to 24.2 on your television set or putting the NLEC TV app on your iPhone or mobile device. For further information, call 314-436-2424 or go to nlecstl.org. That's nlecstl.org.
And welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes, Dr. Jim Logan. I call him Dr. Jim, and most people call him, as a chiropractor, Dr. Jim. But Jim Logan is now you're on the cusp, man. You're a pioneer in the racing field. Jim, have you driven any cars yourself?
Actually, I have driven cars on the track. I've not driven any of my own cars except the little cars when the boys were running the quarter midgets. But I have been on the track, and I've got some experience, not in competition, but mostly on the track, getting up to speed, getting lap times.
How's the thrill?
Oh man, there's nothing like it. You know, you can get on the highway on Highway 70 and you go 100 miles an hour, you're gonna get a ticket and maybe put in jail. But you get out on the track and you can go as fast as the car will let you go. And
That's wonderful.
It's a thrill. A lot of people should try that.
And we have a couple of more pictures I want you to tell us what these are about. What is this?
Okay, we're at the track. I believe we're at Texas Motor Speedway there, and what we're trying to do is interest young people, black and white, but especially African American black kids who can see the opportunities that are available in the racing industry. And right there, I was some of the kids were asking for autographs. I said, well, you want to get autographs from the famous guys, but I will. And it was really a thrill to meet and see those young people and see the smile on their faces and the enthusiasm when they find out about the auto racing and get that close to the cars.
And there's only one African American on the NASCAR circuit. Is that right?
As far as I know right now, in the major leagues, which is the Cup Series, a young guy, Bubba Wallace, who's made some history, and he's been in the news as well. So yes.
Right. And so that's the picture we just saw here. What is that? The crowd again. Tell us about that. Go ahead.
Well, we're at that looks like we're at Atlanta Motor Speedway there, and we've got some of our crew members, well, all of our crew members, and the young man in the blue jeans is there. He's another African American who's getting a chance to be up close to an Indy car, and that's what we're doing now. The crew is preparing the car. We're on what we call on the grid, getting ready to start the race.
I think Bob Dylan's going to show you that car on the track again. Tell us about that, Jim.
Yeah, well, that actually is my first opportunity to have the car on the track. That's at Texas Motor Speedway in June of 2000. And that actually is an historic picture because that is the first African-American, solely owned African-American Indy car in history on the track.
That expensive. It looks like an expensive hobby. Is it a hobby now, Jim, or is it a career? What is it?
Bernie, it started, and with me, it would have to fall into the hobby with aspirations to become professional, because it becomes professional when you're able to get sponsorships and you're doing it at the highest level. I did it as an individual enthusiast, and I wanted to be involved with the series because I love auto racing, and I think that the African American community can be very much influential in the auto racing industry as not only as participants, but also as consumers of the products that are sold through the companies that are involved with auto racing as sponsors.
Well, they come. Could you, if they wanted you to come out and speak to the kids at different schools, at different functions, would you be available, and how can they reach you?
I'd love to do that, and you can reach me at my phone number, 314-382-2202.
Yeah, that's a little fast.
That's it.
Slow it down.
314, sorry. I'm going fast with racing. 314-382-2202.
Okay.
And you can also reach me at 314-276-7822.
Those tires and the equipment look very expensive. And once again, for funding, they would call the same numbers?
Absolutely. And I would welcome any interest. Funding is the key to this game, so to speak. And we are actively putting together a marketing program so that we can let people know that we are in existence and that we do need the funding to get started. And I believe that whatever company gets involved with us, through the nature of what we're doing, would find it a very, very profitable concern. And lastly,
we have about 10 seconds.
Okay, my car is the first solely owned African-American Indy car in history, and I think that would be something that we would be proud of, getting more people involved with.
My friend, for nearly 50 years, Dr. Jim Logan. Thank you so much, Jim. Good luck to you, and good luck to all of you. And thank you all for watching the New Life Advancing Center in LAC TV. I am Bernie Hayes. Have a great day.